unfortunately, we did not have a good response to this video, and we only got one question, which was, can you say hi, Khadijah? My response is, hi Khadijah, welcome to another video. Just kidding guys, we had such an amazing response rate for this video. So many awesome questions came in and we get to basically all of them, so it's a very exciting video. Honestly, just thank you guys for staying so engaged in this community. We're growing like crazy. Just last week alone, we welcomed 100 new people into our newsletter, and now we're at 500 plus newsletter subscribers, almost at 600, which is just mind-blowing considering it's only been 2 weeks. And then our YouTube channel is almost at 3K. Again, I don't know, I just find that so crazy because, you know, I just started all this like a couple months ago, and I just love talking with you guys in the comments. I love making these videos. The editing process is like the most painful part, but I think once you get past it, it's like, it's good. Life is good. Enjoyed this Q&A with my mom. We filmed it on a Sunday afternoon when it was so hot outside. It was 100 degrees in California. Like, it's California and it's hot. Like, it's really, really hot, and I'm still getting used to it. And then our camera stopped working when it hit 30 minutes, and we couldn't really figure out which questions we answered before it ended and which questions we didn't get to. So there might have been repeats in this video, but hopefully I do a good job editing, like, so that doesn't happen. Fingers crossed. But anyway, enjoy this video, and as always, thumbs up, leave any comments. I reply to everything. That's what I hold myself accountable to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh my god, we're so out of it.
你这难道没有一个 flip screen 你可以看得到吗？
Nope. Mommy, okay, we don't need.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we're sure.
Bye.
I feel like I've never sat so close to you. This is really awkward. So I asked questions on both my YouTube and Instagram, and so we're gonna start with YouTube. But Sonia said, yay, Iris is back. And my question is, did your mom expect you getting into Stanford and all these other amazing schools you got into?
I would not say I expect Iris to do that, but I would say I'm not surprised that Iris achieved that. I think she would and she should, but on the other hand, even if she had not, I would not say disappointed or anything like that. Just like throughout the whole college application process, I keep telling Iris, especially at the time of rejection, what's more important is she herself, and let her have faith in her. And it's up to the individual colleges to decide whether they feel Iris is a good fit or not. If they feel Iris is not a good fit, maybe they are right. Maybe Iris is not a good fit, but that does not mean Iris is not a good student, a good person, or doesn't mean Iris doesn't have potential. So I always feel like no matter where Iris ends up at, it will be good for her. And I kind of trust those schools to make wise decisions for the schools themselves. And also I do trust no matter where Iris goes to, she will turns out to be a great person.
Wow.
Yeah. So
high endorsement from the mom.
So basically, do I expect that? Do I expect Iris to do that? No, but am I surprised? No, definitely not.
All right, great answer. And I think this is a follow-up question, but on Instagram I got a question that was like, how do you guys deal with rejections? And I guess I'll say, I think my mom has this mentality of rejections are fine, like they're okay, you just move on. And I actually created like a Spotify playlist that's called like Bounce Back or something, and it definitely, it has like Bounce Back by, let me just pull it up really fast. You guys can actually find it on Spotify. Let's see, hopefully it focuses, but it's called Rejected Bounce Back. And it has Bounce Back by Big Sean, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragon, and Battles by La Portia Renee. Someone's gonna make fun of me for saying that wrong. And 1,000 Bad Times, Post Malone, Shake It Off, Taylor Swift, I Will Survive, Gloria Gaynor. I think my mom and like my family, like grandparents included, did instill this attitude of like, yeah, it's fine, like shake it off.
And also, like, after all, I'm much older than Iris, obviously. And I think life is a long process. College application is just one step. And I mean, either college application or as small things like a certain specific test or exam, or even SAT, CT, or AP exam, or like college application, they're all baby mini steps building up your long journey. And nobody's going to have a smooth, super smooth journey in their whole entire life. So if someone has to have any fallback, it's better to experience that young and early so that you learn how to get up after you fall. I think that's one of the most important life skills. If Iris has to fall, I'd rather she falls when I can still be there to help her get up, so that I'll help her to learn how to get up on her own feet, so that if one day I'm not with her, I'm not by her side, she has the ability, she has the skill, pull herself up. I think that's super important.
At this point, I feel like we should just make a parenting channel because like, you're talking to like other moms. So this is how I deal with my daughter.
Yeah. It's okay
oh yeah. One thing my mom tells me all the time is that like as long as you try your best, you're not gonna regret anything. Right. So just with every little step along the way, just try your best. And if it doesn't turn out the way you expect it to, then it's completely fine. You gave it your all, and now you try doing your best in the next thing that you do.
Exactly.
And if you do that consistently, you will, in general, like succeed.
Exactly. Because a lot of time, effort depends on you and yourself, and the result oftentimes can be out of your control. So you can only do your part, your contribution to the final result.
Exactly. Oh, this one's juicy. Did your mom enforce a certain bedtime, or were you just allowed to pull all-nighters? I'm gonna say I've never ever pulled an all-nighter in high school before. Like when I had school, like my only all-nighters are like when I'm traveling or if I'm like out like during breaks and stuff.
Yeah, or after COVID-19.
Yeah, like during COVID, I've been like, I don't know. I don't think I've actually pulled any all-nighters like outside of traveling though. But yeah, did you enforce a certain bedtime?
I wish I did.
The first one is, did your mom in one point disapprove in a decision you made? Parentheses, probably not. That's not true. I think she always disagrees. We disagree so much, like literally on a daily basis. I think our values clash a lot because we just grew up in like different cultures. What's a good specific example?
I was thinking like, I would say I disagree with a lot of Iris's decisions. But whether or not I disapprove,
let's get philosophical here.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what does it mean disapprove, because eventually, even for things that I don't like Iris to do, or I don't think that's a good idea, or I kind of disagree, but if she insists, just like the parenthesis says, like probably not, even if I feel that's not so good, I don't think that's a good idea, if she insists, I'll say maybe. Okay, but as long as you know the consequence. I think a good example is your Vanderbilt decision.
Oh yeah. So I got into Vanderbilt junior year. I made some videos on that, and then I decided not to go.
Yeah, and then it was my opinion that Vanderbilt is a good enough school. It's a very good school already. You know, I kind of feel, as I said earlier, like I feel it's more the student, the person that determines how that person is going to be in the future, less of the school. Yeah. So I feel Vanderbilt is a good enough school already, and Vanderbilt has more than enough resources for Iris to use. And by staying in high school for one extra year, I was just afraid she's going to get bored, she's going to waste her time, and she's not going to accomplish much. And also I was afraid, like, honestly, as a mom, secretly, I am, if Iris is disappointed, or when I see Iris fall, my heart will hurt, even though I may not tell her. So I was afraid that if Iris didn't get into her dream schools, she may, and after spending one extra year, she may be very disappointed. And also, I don't know whether she will still be able to get into Vanderbilt when she reapply, like as a senior again. So my opinion is for her to go to Vanderbilt, but her idea is not to, and then her idea is to apply again. So we definitely have disagreement, and I definitely disagree with her decision. Did I disapprove? I don't think so. So to a certain extent, she didn't really need me to approve it. It's her decision. I think I was just trying to be more supportive. I just talked it out with her and told her the pros and cons, told her the risks involved, and make sure she understands the risk, and also kind of again emphasize the point, like the worst case, even if she didn't get into any of those super good schools, it's still okay. So in the end, I went with her. So I'll say that's disagreement, but may not be disapprovement. Right?
Yeah, I think a good analogy to draw is that like my mom's like the advisory board and I'm like the CEO of my life.
Yep.
So like she'll give her like advice and then I'm like, all right, I'll ultimately make the decision.
Yeah, I think unless it's kind of like significant health and safety issues, I will not disapprove anything. I think anything kind of like disapproved this time is like initially Iris want to go to Costa Rica in June this year. So starting in February or March, when this COVID-19 thing started to come up, I started to say, no, you should not go. And she still wanted to go. And then for that, I set my foot down. I'm like, no, you're not going. And she's still like, oh, I want to go.
Yeah, by that time, I already booked the ticket with one of my friends and we were gonna go. But yeah, we ended up canceling, and that was like kind of out of our own initiative. And I think we canceled in like April, I want to say. May. Yeah. And we're like, we're out.
Yeah, we canceled in May. Yeah, I mean, that's something, if you say disapprove, maybe I disapprove, because I think that's significant health and safety issues. I think that's my bottom line. If something I think is putting Iris' safety and health in danger, I would disapprove. But otherwise, I think as long as you are alive and healthy, you always have opportunity to come back. There will be no wrong decision, basically.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then a lot of people are wondering like what career path or job I want after college, which I think I just want to first debunk this notion that there's one career that everybody gets into after college. I think just looking at so many adults these days, everybody has a dynamic career path. Like you don't stay in one job for the rest of your life, which is by now like our life expectancy is like 80 years old. So from 20 to 80, that's 60 years of lifetime. You're not going to stay in the same job day in and day out. And so I think I'm very certain that I'm going to have an ever-changing career path. So what I do this decade will be different than what I do the next decade. I listened to this really awesome podcast today by Tim Ferriss and not Seth Godin. I always get them mixed up. Derek Sivers. And what Derek Sivers said was that a lot of times young people get caught up on like, oh, I want to do it all. Like I want to do A, B, C, and D. I have so many interests. And then they try to take those on all at the same time. But what happens is that when you try to do everything at the same time, you end up doing like none of them at all. It's kind of like multitasking, right? So what is a lot more productive is that if you spend like 1 to 2 years of your life, or say like a decade, the amount of time is subjective, but you spend an amount of time dedicated to one career path and you get really good at that. And then once you feel like you've exhausted that career path, you can always move on to another area of interest that you wanted to do. And so say you spend 1 decade on every career and you do that for the rest of your life, that's 6 potential careers that you could have done, you know? So there's just so much possibility with like the amount of time that we're expected to live. So don't like boggle yourself with this notion of, oh, I'm just gonna be like one thing after I graduate. Oh yeah, do you want to explain your career path? Because I think that's actually it's really interesting.
Well, basically I think the take-home message is nothing goes wasted. Whatever effort you put in, you will see the reward sooner or later. Sometimes you may feel you are doing career path A, which is very different from your dream career, which is career B. But you may be surprised one day once you're in your career B, you may realize some skill you learned in career A, or some skill you learned in job C, which is totally different from your dream career, can be helpful. You are picking up some essential skills and qualities that will help you succeed. Everything kind of can have intersection, and they all share certain common things all together. And also that's another thing I try to tell Iris. Another important skill in life is the ability to learn. So always keep learning, and ability to self-teach, like to learn something yourself, to have the initiatives to do that. That's also important. I think basically this kind of society with AI and all this, again, exactly as Iris said, nobody's going to have the same job for 30, 50 years. That's impossible. You always have to be ready for the change and be ready, be adaptive, and have the ability to learn, to teach yourself. I think that's important.
Yeah, and a really great book covering this topic is Range by David Epstein. So check that out if you're interested in this idea of having diverse interests and how they actually help one another. Okay, on to the Instagram questions. I think I'm gonna ask this one to my mom because she hasn't given any advice on this respect yet, but someone asked, can you give any tips for upcoming high schoolers to achieve straight A's? My mom was a really good student, by the way. She got really good grades.
Well, I am a good student and Iris is a good student, but on the other hand, honestly, I don't think it's so important to be a straight A student. At one point during Iris' high school career, at one point she debated about how many AP classes to take. At one point she was concerned. She was very concerned. Oh, if I take this many AP classes and this and that are too heavy, what if I don't get an A? So my answer is like, try your best, and if you get an A, great. If you don't, try to learn as much as you can, but do not let not getting an A deter you from taking the class you want to take, or deter you from like challenge yourself fully. And then like in the end, I think that semester, that year, she took a very heavy, super heavy course load, and she ended up getting an A. And also, interestingly, it is like the harder the class is, the higher A she gets. Like she will have like 98% or 99% in a super hard class. Well, a relatively easygoing class, relatively easy class, she would only make like 92%, 93% kind of A. So, but anyway, so
no, I think that's because like when it's like super easy, I think I'm just not motivated, and so I just like, all right, let's just go like shoot for the 90, because it's the same for us. Like there's no A plus or A minus. It's just all like an A is an A, and so there's no difference between a 90 and a 99. So I'm like, all right, let's just like slide by. Whereas if it's like more challenging, I'm like actually like, oh, I want to get the highest score.
Yeah. So basically the take my overall, like, basically I don't think it's so important to have straight A. I think more important is to learn the stuff that you want to learn. And also it's not important to have a perfect score on every single test. It's important to find out where you don't know yet. I think that's the purpose of the test or exam in school, is to let you know where is the area that you don't know yet, and so that after the test you can go back and study that area and make up that area, so that maybe if there's a final exam you'll do better, or maybe like basically no matter what you learn, it's supposed to be a foundation for something else, so that in the future you can do better.
Yeah, exactly. You learn more when you're challenging yourself.
Right.
This one's juicy. Have you always had a good relationship? If so, how did you maintain it? And if not, why? I mean, I think the answer for this, like to every like mother-daughter relationship, is no.
Oh, this is talking about good relationship.
Yeah, like have we had a good relationship? Yeah. Okay. I feel like on a day-to-day basis, that's probably not true at all. Like we definitely like get into fights and stuff.
We're like dog and cat. Different personality.
Yeah, super different personalities. I would say like really different values for like 50% of the stuff, but like for like stuff like school and like rejections and like the stuff we've talked about, I think we agree on those values. But other things like taking risks, doing YouTube, like these types of things, I think we really differ. Like one thing my mom disagreed with me on was like starting a YouTube channel. She was like, that's not a good idea. I was like, whatever.
This is what I'm doing right now.
So I guess we should answer like, how do we maintain our relationship? I don't know. This is so bad. We don't really talk about our relationship.
Well, I think from my standpoint, that's going to be a little bit personal. And from my standpoint, I am a mom, and a mom actually can take a lot. So even when Iris truly hurt me, a mom can magically heal herself. So that helps, because basically there's nothing can separate this kind of blood relationship, mother-daughter, mother-son. Nothing can separate us. So
yeah, I guess like the unconditional love.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, this is getting sappy. Did your mom push you to achieve great things, or were you self-motivated?
Yeah,
it's like you can tell it's like both.
Yeah,
I think pushed more when I was younger.
Yeah, I don't think I really pushed Iris to achieve great things, depending on how you define great things. I don't really push Iris to achieve great score or great schools, those kind of things. But on the other hand, I do want her to be a useful person to the society in the end. I think that's great things too.
All right, this one's for you. So how did it feel to watch Iris grow as a high schooler?
Very, very mixed feelings. Too many feelings. How does it feel? Excited, contented, disappointed, all different kind of feelings, and also sometimes a little bit scared, but most of the time, I would say most of the time, I'm so proud of Iris. Seriously, I'm so proud of her. Like many of our neighbors, have also told me how shy Iris was when she first moved to the neighborhood and how much she has changed over the past, not just high school, but middle school and high school. Especially during the 4 years high school, I think Iris has grown a lot. From the freshman, she was like kind of only good at academics. And then during these 4 years, she developed her like leadership skill and like initiatives, like participate in those nonprofit organizations, started her own organization. I was amazed when I realized she did that. And also I'm super proud of her for doing that, and initiated a TED Talk, brought the TED Talk to the community, and also started so many clubs, like environmental friendly initiatives. She did so much, really. I mean, everything was kind of to my surprise. Like when she told me she did this, I'm like, wow, really? You did that? Okay, cool. So I have to say, like, it's like surprise after surprise, but they are, most of them are good surprises. Of course, there are some not so cool surprises, but I guess I'm not going to talk about
No,
this.
you should. I think you should. You should give the full picture. What is one not so good surprise that you faced?
I think I'd rather keep it private, even private from Iris.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, no, but my neighbor, when we moved, she wrote me a really nice card, and she's like, I remember when you guys first moved to the neighborhood, it was about 10 years ago, so I was probably like 8, and she's like, oh, and then you were just like hiding behind your mom because the dog approached you. So I was like the shyest girl ever, and I think now, like, what I'm like talking to people on YouTube, so I've grown a lot.
She's much more confident, and I think that's very important.
There was a question on like, was your mom a tiger parent? And I think it's pretty obvious by now that she was. All right, let's just blast through these last couple questions. It'll be like a rapid fire round. What advice did your mom give you that you still remember to this day? Shit, I said it was gonna be rapid fire. I think just try your best and nothing else matters. Try your best and you won't regret it. All right, did your mom put pressure on you to study all the time and constantly do well? No, not at all. Are you guys from China? Your Chinese is really good. If yes, then when did you move here and how did you overcome the language struggles? Tell us about the process. You want to say anything, Molly?
I am a first generation immigrant to the US. Iris was born in the US. So, but we try to speak Chinese at home. That's why her Chinese is pretty good.
No, I don't think that's true. I think my Chinese is good because I lived in China when I was younger.
Right, you spent like 4 years in China.
4 or 5 years not living with my mom. So that's when, and then when I started living with my mom, I think my Chinese got a lot worse because she speaks English. So yeah.
When Iris is with grandparents who don't speak any English, she was forced to speak Chinese. That's how her Chinese got so good.
Are there specific things your mom did that you would say helped you get into Stanford? I think she implanted like a growth mindset that like you can do anything you set your mind to, and just that like can-do attitude, which helped a lot. How did your mom support you that ultimately led to your great success in getting it? I feel like, okay, this is kind of the same question, like how did my mom support me to get into Stanford?
Really, I don't think there's anything special about Stanford more than any other schools. If anything, I had known that Stanford has been Iris's dream school ever since she was in elementary school. But also at that time, I felt like it was kind of naive, because the reason she likes Stanford more than Harvard is because she feels Stanford campus is so much nicer, and she has been to Stanford so many times.
Stanford over Harvard any day.
And she visited Harvard campus a couple of times, and every time it was kind of like winter time, and it was cold, cloudy, not really the greatest campus. So yeah.
No, but I
don't think there's anything I have done.
No, there's so much. Okay, like I'll just answer the question. Like, how did my mom support me so that I'm quote unquote successful? I think she like really cares about what I'm doing. So if there's ever any help I need with like school, like she'll be there to like answer questions. And I think a lot of times she's a lot more proactive than I am, especially when I was younger. So like say I tell my mom, oh, this happened at school, and then she'll be like, oh, you should do this about it so that, you know, you're more proactive and take charge of things. And I'll be like, oh yeah, like, and then I think I start taking that on more as I got older. I think financially she supported me really well with like a bunch of extracurriculars. And then like time wise, I think as well, like, you know, like I bet all the Asian moms out there like cook, and that saves people a lot of, like save kids a lot of time to do like schoolwork and extracurriculars. Yeah, so a lot of ways for that. Yeah, well, you just didn't answer the you just didn't answer the question.
I didn't even realize. Yeah, good job.
Okay, cool. How many hours of classes will you have? What's your major? I don't know, honestly. I think it depends on how many credits you take, and I think every credit, like 3-4 credits, is supposed to be like 5 to 10 hours. That is probably an underestimate. But yeah, it really depends on the number of classes and like how hard the classes are. And then I think I'm gonna major in computer science and economics, but that is tentative. Go
By
ahead.
the way, do you want to read that question again? Because when you were reading that question, I was picking something off from
No,
your
wait,
hair.
it's fine.
Okay, sure.
No one cares. I guess we can do this one. How are you liking California? Love the sun. It's really hot. What about you? What's your opinion?
Has been a week. I'm still getting used to it. I love the vibes. I love the people.
Pros and cons of graduating early. I'm considering it, but I'm not sure if I want to do it. This is from Hannah. All right, so I think pros is that you get to enter like the real world a little bit faster, and the cons is you might not get as much time as you like with like your high school friends. You might not get into as good of a college just because you're younger. You don't have that time to develop your resume as much. What do you think?
Well, this is more of Iris's decision. So I think the pros is, as Iris says, you can start your career a little bit sooner. The cons is like whether or not the kid is mature enough to handle college courses and the social situation and everything. In terms of Iris, I felt she was ready. It was because since elementary school on, she has been taking some classes with upperclassmen, other class students. So she has been mingled together with upper class students pretty much for the past 5 to 6 years or longer.
So it basically really depends on like your personal situation and how ready you feel like you're ready to leave and just go to college. Was Iris annoying when she was growing up?
She was not. She was sweet when she was growing up. She's a little bit more annoying now.
All right, did you move to California for good? Like find a house? Yes, we did. We're here for good. All right, what happened to your father? So my dad lives in Beijing and he has like his own family now. Did you get a lot of financial aid?
We didn't.
What made you decide to attend Stanford when out-of-state tuition is expensive?
Stanford, there's no out-of-state tuition. All students have the same tuition because it's a private institution.
How did you pick the name Iris?
Iris knows the answer.
Because
it started from the Bible story.
Wait, I don't know about the Bible story. I thought this was Greek mythology.
Yeah. So
wait, Greek mythology is not the Bible.
Yeah, Greek mythology also came from the Bible.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're related.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think
Aren't they like two totally different religions?
I don't know.
They're
but
totally different.
Basically, the reason I chose the name Iris for Iris is because one, Iris is the goddess of peace, and Iris is the rainbow, and Iris is the symbol that the God gave the world as a symbol to say there will be peace in this world. That is after the I learned Bible in Chinese. Noah,
Noah, the Ark.
Yeah, after that event. So
I think I said that wrong, but like Noah.
Yeah, the rainbow is the symbol that God used to have the kind of covenant. With the worldly people to say there will be peace in this world. So Iris is the symbol of peace.
Why did you guys move to the US?
I moved to the US after my college to pursue graduate study, and then I met Iris's dad. We settled down here. For Iris, she doesn't have any option. She was born here.
Is your family immigrants to America? If so, what are some difficulties you guys faced? So I'll start first. So I lived in China until I was like about 7. Even though I was born here, I went to China at like 3-ish. So I was there all the way up until 2nd grade. And then I came to the US and I couldn't speak English at all. Like I had no language skills. So that was really tough, just being in an environment where you just had no idea what was going on. And I was also in a predominantly white school, and I have grown up in a predominantly white school. So I think that just, you know, like I think this is something really common with all Asian kids, is that, you know, you just feel like you want to assimilate and become more white. But I think as time has gone on, you just realize like that's a fruitless effort. And at the end of the day, it's just better to embrace who you are. And I like being Asian. I think it's great. There's pros and cons to being anything in this world. So just embrace the pros.
So I'm a first generation immigrant. I came to this country at age 23. So when I first came, I don't really know anyone in this country. Personally, I don't know anyone. So not only language, but also even daily life could be a struggle. My challenge was more to survive, to establish myself, and to succeed in my career, and also to eventually have a family. So I think Iris's challenge could be different from, or Iris and other second generation immigrants, their challenges are going to be different from the first generation immigrants, because basically they cannot really identify very well with their parents, and also they cannot identify very well with most of their peers who are maybe 5th or 10th generation immigrants from Europe, because everyone, unless you're a Native American, you are an immigrant here. So but now, no question, we are minorities here. Like all other minorities, we have our own challenge and how to fit with the like majority. Yeah, that's the issue everyone has to work on.
Yeah, like even now, like we moved to this new town or city, and my mom's like so excited. Like she sees like an Asian neighbor and she's like, oh my god, we have another Asian neighbor. Yeah, because I think it's like hard for her to make friends with people who aren't similar to her, because she's not completely Chinese now, and she's not American, like in the sense, the traditional sense. And so she like really can only have these really close relationships with people who are in the same shoes as she is, like first gen Chinese American immigrant.
Right.
And I'm in like this banana stage where I'm yellow on the outside and white on the inside, and I think like a lot of Americans do, but then I still don't look like a white person, I guess.
Exactly. This is the similar superficial friends versus deep friends. I can have superficial friends with my neighbors.
I wouldn't call it superficial. It's just like not. It's just like a higher level. It's like more like an acquaintance.
Yeah, acquaintance. Like we can say hi, we help each other, neighbors. But deep down, when it comes to family struggles,
like say like a life partner or something,
yeah, it's going to be very different.
Yeah, I think that's why so many people date like interracially, because you just like relate to them so much better. Do you remember anything about living in DC? This one's from Gwen.
Hi Gwen. Yes, I definitely remember you and your twin sister and your parents, and I appreciate friendship from you and your family, definitely.
Yeah, so we were in DC when I was like in 2nd grade, so that was like my first like American experience, and I didn't speak English, and Gwen like taught me a lot. Oh yes, and then I remember that her kitchen smelled like cinnamon, and I was like, I'd never seen cinnamon before, so I had no idea what the smell was. And then later on, I realized that it was cinnamon. Like literally like 2 years later, I was like, I remember the smell in Gwen's kitchen. And then someone told me it was cinnamon. And I was like, oh, now I finally get it. Because I was just so confused. It's just like such a weird smell. All right, how to deal with being the motivated kid in high school with not that many friends. I would say develop the I don't give a shit attitude, because friends are fake anyway. Like a lot of the times, I think in high school, like people have like quote unquote friends, but I just think it's so fake. Like I have like probably 2 friends in high school, but I think they're gonna be like my friends for like the rest of my life. So I think I only invest in relationships that are gonna be long-term and meaningful. And just for all like the quote-unquote friends, like I don't know, like I just don't really care about what other people think about me. And I think that's just an attitude that you develop. Like the less you care, like it just like becomes a cycle, and then you realize like, oh, people actually don't care, and then you just like care even less. And then just keep being motivated, and just pursue what you want to pursue.
And honestly, I kind of disagree with Iris' attitude here, and I've been telling her to have more friends in high school as well. And I understand that it's hard for Iris to find someone who's exactly like her in her high school. But on the other hand, I keep telling Iris, like, from every single person, there's always something you can learn from.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true.
And also, like, Iris also, I think it's kind of unfair for you to say you have only 2 friends in high school. It's unfair to a lot of your other friends.
No, but like 2 friends I'd keep in touch after high school.
So she has friends to do many different things. She has friends that she played tennis with, for example, and she has friends who she will like organize certain kind of events together. But she may not, maybe she has only 2 friends who are more or less more like her in many different perspectives. They can do many more things together. But some friends they're just together doing certain kind of things, but not others. Some friends are there to study together. Some friends are there to play and have fun together. So I think that's perfectly acceptable. And then also this is something I want to tell you, in college it's going to be similar as well.
Yeah, that's super
You have different kind of friends for different kind of things.
Yeah, I guess like after what my mom said, like I guess I did have a lot of friends in high school in that respect. Like I hung out with a lot of people, but I think just a lot of people I hang out with I don't actually consider my friends. Like I guess it depends on what you define friends to be, and I think I just have a deeper meaning for what a friend is.
It's kind of like those kind of deep friends, or those kind of like superficial friends, if you call them deep friends and superficial friends.
I was definitely sociable, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of other times, like I'm just like, I'm not gonna go there, like go to the party, I'm just gonna study, and I was completely fine with that. And I don't think that made me any less cool as what the movies put it.
But you still try to be available for your friends.
Yeah, that's true. People. Always be there for other people.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter if you think like they're your friend or not, you know, even if it's a stranger or someone you just see in the halls. Oh yes, and then how would you motivate an unmotivated child?
I have not been very successful, or to say I don't have a lot of successful experience motivating an unmotivated child. If Iris is unmotivated, it's very difficult to get her motivated, because most of the time she's very self-motivating already. One example I can give is like this week, after we moved in here for 1 entire week, 7 days, Iris has not really cleaned up too much of her room up until early this morning, when she wanted me to do this Q&A with her, and we said that earlier this week, and I said, okay, I'll do a Q&A after you clean up your room. So today she's super motivated. Ultimately, she motivated herself to clean up her room.
Yeah, and look at how clean the room is. Yeah, we have Lily. I know some of you guys wanted to meet Lily, but she's like, oh my god, mommy, you don't want to get her. She's right there. I think you guys could have seen her the whole time.
Yeah, but basically the key point is like nobody can motivate an unmotivated person. Only that person, him or herself, can motivate.
Well, no, you just like align the right incentives. You just have to know what motivates that person, and if they're unmotivated about something else, you just like align the incentives so that they're actually motivated. That didn't make sense. Did that make sense?
I don't know.
I think we said it better the first time.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, yeah. So Rebecca asked a lot of questions about like freedom and independence and Tiger Mom parenting. Like, did your mom give you a lot of freedom? Yes. Did she trust you to be independent? Yes. And then she was not strict on grades or activities. I think she gave me a lot of leeway. So someone asked, how do you plan to spend the next few years after college? So this one I really want to address, because there's this whole notion that like we need to know what we want to do after college that I think is super duper toxic, because the statistic is like 50% of people change their college major. So that just goes to show how indecisive we are as college students or teenagers. And there's no one career path that we're gonna pursue for the rest of our life. All right, thank you guys for watching. Thumbs up if you liked it.
Thank you.
Subscribe for more. See you in the next one. Bye. Oh my god, we're so out of it.